Let us discuss in detail about the preventative control. It's a defensive perspective aimed in protecting results, focused on loss avoidance and value preservation. Being in aviation industry, ANSPs shall ensure the air safety. Society expects a safe travel, though they may not even know who all are behind the air safety. When the safety is compromised, generally society blames government, not ANSPs. But ensuring the safety is accountable for both the ANSPs as well as the government. So at this level, ANSPs ensures the value preservation by fulfilling the expectations from the society as well as meeting the regulatory requirements. Effectiveness of this level is very essential because small problem and error, if not attended at this stage, would lead to total failure and loss. So the ultimate goal of ANSP at this level is to provide fail-safe system. The required resilience at this level is achieved by risk management, multiple defenses, redundancy, system backups, and standardized procedures. What are all the multiple defenses we have at this level? System inbuilt mechanism like built-in test, auto changeover, avoid radiation during false signals generation, procedures and controls like maintenance manual, OEM documentation, SOP, headquarters technical circulars, etc. Similarly, we have some protection to protect our information system or information technology by introducing firewall, gateways, etc. Then we have ADSUB at this level to make use of all the above and perform the actual monitoring and complying functions to ensure the result. ANSP efforts focused on conformity on source of ICAO at this particular level of maturity. How they achieve? Through equipment design with redundancy, fallback, etc. By performing maintenance and inspection function and excellence in operating procedures, certification and competence of ADSUB in the front line, and assessment and management of risk so that known risks are mitigated. During the times of crisis, to ensure the bounce back, ADSUB are given training for emergency responses, and ANSP ensures financial reserves also so that immediate financial loss are compensated and recovery is possible. Also, they have well established supply chain for ensuring the spares available. Here we need to see the important characteristics of supply chain. Your supply chain management should have flexibility, reaction speed should be very low, and your supply chain management must provide an access to the spares which you might not have listed as a critical spare earlier. These are very crucial to avoid or limit the impacts of adverse events on revenue, cost, and lead time or availability. Resilience at this stage is the inherent ability of an organization to maintain or regain dynamically stable state, which allows it to continue operation after a major mishap or in the presence of continuous stress. Let us see the expected positive outcome in this phase if everything goes well. Known problems are solved using proven technique like if this alert comes, this is my action. If this warning comes, this is my action. If this failure happens, this is the module I have to check. And I have a clear-cut signal flow of each system. Standard ways to do things are perfected by periodically reviewing SOPs, circulars, guidelines, etc. And we bring redundancy through the design of the equipment. Disturbances are quickly counteracted by planned responses at this stage. Having discussed about characteristics of this stage, let us see about the gaps. I am not making any judgments but trying to help thought processing and self-evaluation. Supply chain. Are we getting the spares from OEM when we need? Do we have all the key factors discussed earlier addressed in our initial contract? Can we have access to the spares which we have not listed in the critical spares at a later stage for a nominal cost? At any case, whether we get the spare in time and reduce the downtime. Disturbances are quickly counteracted by planned responses. We may have planned responses on paper or in digital forms, but do we have people to act at the field level to respond on those planned responses, or we have all our planned responses only on paper or in digital forms? Certification and competence. Whether our training is mere formality to deploy someone in front end, or we seriously address the skills and competency required for this level of resilience by adopting the principles and techniques given by DOC 10057 and DOC 9868. How do we train the front end ATSEP on handling sudden failures or total shutdown of the system? Do we assess this competency? Do we have any mock facilities to train them? Financial reserves to face crisis and continued operation. Yes, this is very important one. We will reserve this point for the panel to discuss during the webinar. Knowledge sharing on known problems and proven technique. How do we communicate the known problem and proven technique adopted at one part of our state as early as possible to the rest of our state? How do we measure the time taken for converting a new solution and a new learning into known problem and proven technique? How do we confirm the effectiveness of the above? Do we have any clear structure and means for building knowledge capital of ATSEP? Unclear or impractical procedures. Do our manual or guidance material or circulars clearly understandable by the front-end ATSEP? Can a field-level ATSEP perform all expected tasks for the remedies like procuring spares and supporting tools and consumables, etc. by following the procedures made available to them? Do we test those procedures from the front-end ATSEP point of view? Knowledge gap. Frequent online flexible training modules on different concepts can be easily made available. Continued local practices. Sensitization program to make them to follow the standard practices is easily possible. So we have listed several gaps here. It is only for initiating the self-evaluation so that we can address those gaps. These are the very important gaps. If at all if it existing, it must be sealed as early as possible, because front end whatever happens, only that is visible to the society, and only the front end result what we are providing only is going to be seen by regulatory authorities. So we should be very, very serious and try to address these gaps in the front end. These are the gaps are not exhaustive, but to trigger our self-evaluation only. We may find more gaps if we benchmark our outcome with the best practices within and from outside our state.